Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our webinar on how to kickstart your marketing with AI, an introduction to the marketing AI state of play. I am joined here by Fred Maude, who is our guest speaker today. So just a couple of housekeeping things before we get started, so what you can expect today. The webinar should take about 30 minutes. If you have any questions, please do ask them through the chat function, which is on the side of your screen. Presentation will be recorded and emailed out to everybody, so if you need to leave a bit early, not a problem at all. And as I mentioned, I'm here with Fred Maude. I do have one other piece of news, which unfortunately has been given to me about 5 minutes ago. We are having a fire drill at 12:45, so during that time, we're going to have to take a brief break, at which point we will mute it so you do not have to hear the fire drill that's going on behind us. I'm really sorry about that, guys, but unfortunately there's nothing we can do about it. So without any further delay, I'm going to pass it off to Fred, who will be taking through AI.
Hello, yeah, as Lisa said, my name's Fred, and I work within the performance team. Due to the very nature of what we do, we work to stringent best practices, and we also implement a lot of automation. This has recently seen us look towards AI. There are data scientists talking about AI. As of the last week, I'm sure that you know that Zuckerberg has been talking about AI. And yes, of course, marketeers are talking about AI as well. And we are talking about it almost non-stop. So everyone is talking about AI. I mean, you probably knew this prior to me going through those slides just now, but what does it mean? The fact that everyone's talking about AI, what does it mean about the state of play? So this here showing is the Gartner hype curve. And what this does is it allows clients and individuals to be educated on the promise of an emergent technology. What it does is it splits any technology's life cycle into 5 parts, which is the innovation trigger, and this is tech breakthrough, and this is coupled with media coverage at the time. The second stage of any technology is the peak of inflated expectation. This is where there is early publicity of many successes, and you tend to have less publicity of the scores of failures that are also going on. The next section is trough of disillusionment, and this is the point where people begin to realize that a lot of the experiments and early implementations have failed, and the interest in the technology does wane. So at this point, the next point, which is slope of enlightenment, you actually get real examples of the benefits beginning to crystallize, and the technology becomes a bit more widely understood. And the final stage, the plateau of productivity, at this point, you're considering a technology is widely adopted and most people are using it. So in 2017, Gartner updated their technology state of play. What they showed was that there were many technologies that were in this peak of inflated expectation. I'm going to run through some of them now. You've got deep learning, machine learning, you've got deep reinforcement learning, you have autonomous vehicles, cognitive computing, and conversational user interfaces. Now, what you'll notice is these are all AI, and all of them are either at the late stages of innovation or they're at the peak of inflated expectation. So what does this mean for us in AI? The fact that everyone's talking about it, it means that much of the technology we're looking at is going to fail to be successful, and probably not as successful as we think they're going to be. Despite this, it's still going to be one of the most disruptive technologies in the next 10 years, and this is recognized across many companies. This is due to advancements in computational power, loads of data, and huge advancements in neural networks. So the thing here is that, yes, you should be acting, but act wisely, because many of the technologies we're looking at won't necessarily make it 10 years into the future. So thank you for sitting through that quick intro. Now, this really talks through the agenda for today. I'm going to start off with a few definitions. I mean, a lot of what you hear spoken about AI is in fact misappropriated automation, and I believe that a lot of this is born out of confusion of the definitions and a misunderstanding of the definitions. So it's always good to go through and clearing on. Then I'm going to go through some of the abilities, i.e. areas where AI will have the most impact, and finally some applications, some actual applications and go and implement on your campaigns immediately. At this point, I will go slightly off topic, and I apologize, but it's only 1 or 2 slides. What I'm going to do at this point is encapsulate ability and application in one section. So I will give you the ability of AI and then an application in each case. And then finally, I am going to run through some actions, some 6 takeaway actions that you can go away and do immediately today. So we'll kick it off with a few definitions. We'll start off with automation, the use or introduction of automatic equipment in a manufacturing or other process or facility. And this one's a fairly standard definition. I'm sure you would have seen it before. Now on to the definition of artificial intelligence. This is the theory and development of computer systems able to perform tasks normally requiring human intelligence. Now, I don't necessarily like this definition. The reason I don't like this definition is because I believe a lot of automation tasks that we use now, we would have in the past thought would require human intelligence in order for them to be able to be carried out. And I think this is where a lot of the confusion in artificial intelligence comes from, where people actually think it's artificial intelligence when it's automation. So what I want to look towards instead today is this definition of intelligence, which is the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. What I'm going to do is I'm going to feed this into our artificial intelligence definition. I'm going to get rid of normally requiring human intelligence. And what we have now is a good definition of artificial intelligence, which is the theory and development of computer systems able to perform and acquire and apply knowledge and skills. So just give you 2 more definitions now of actual applications of artificial intelligence. This is machine learning. It is an application of artificial intelligence that provides systems the ability to automatically learn and improve from experience without being explicitly programmed. This deep learning, you would have also heard a lot, is a subset of machine learning, and this is where a lot of the advancements have come in recent years. Deep learning, again, is a subset of machine learning. In this, AIs utilize neural networks, which are capable of learning unsupervised from data, and they can do it with data that is unstructured or unlabeled. So thank you for sitting through the definitions. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go on to some abilities and applications, and this is where the real meat of the presentation is. So to start with, I'd like to show you this, which is a load of applications of AI, and I'll just pick a few out here. There's voice search, there's personalization, there's marketing automation, there's retargeting. And when you look at it like this, it can be very confusing and very difficult to go through. So what I've done is I've tried to neatly break these into 4 categories. You've got your communication elements, you've got your management elements, you have your content, and your targeting. And what I think is these are the 4 main themes, and these are the 4 main areas that are going to be impacted by AI in the coming years. So to kick off with today, I'm going to start with communication. So communication, what can AI do for communication? Well, I guess the main thing and the thing that you'll be hearing a lot about as of recently is chatbots and voice search. I think as we go into the future, and I'm saying chatbots and voice search are going to become one of the same thing. They're going to be almost entirely integrated. When a user is on site, on Facebook pages or at home, they're currently in a state where they might have to wait days for a reply, they might have to enter, and it can be very, very bad for customer service if they have a bad experience during this. Chatbots can really open up communication without actually wasting resource. So they can improve speed and quality of communication using natural language processing, and actually Gartner predicts that 80% relationships will be handled in this way by 2020. And that's advertiser to customer relationships rather than agency to client relationships. So what communication, like what chatbots are out there at the moment that you can go away as a company and start using tomorrow? Well, the first one I want to just show you is ManyChat. I mean, this is a very quick implementation tool. As an advertiser, you can go away and implement this on your Facebook pages today. It's easy to use. It has a free plan, and there's lots of marketing add-ons. If, like me, you like to do a bit of coding and you like to manipulate things yourself, then this is not the one for you. You don't really have any flexibility. There's not really a community to talk about changes you can make. And yes, it's Facebook only, so this will only be done with marketing through Facebook. Second one, ChatFuel, very similar to the other one. Quick, easy to set up. You can get it up today. Pros for this one is it is customizable, so you can get coding with this one and really make your own changes, and there's a great community. No marketing add-ons, and again, you would only be able to utilize this through Facebook. One for people who are certain that chatbots are the way that they want to go is Dialogflow. Now, this one is far more advanced than the other ones I've gone through. It's got seriously advanced natural language processing tools. It's also a free plan. It's exportable, and it's got a huge amount of integrations. So you're talking integrations with a lot of the virtual assistants, so you can have it with Google Home, etc. And the cons are, if you're really looking for a true international chatbot, this is not the one that's going to work for you because it has a restricted number of languages. I was actually having a play around. KLM have integrated with this, and they have a booking bot in Facebook. So you can actually book all your flights through a booking bot on Facebook, and it's quite fun. They also have a packing bot on Google Home, so you can tell it where you want to fly, how long you want to go for. It will tell you if you need visas, and whether you need injections. And this is all you just talking to your machine. It's very futuristic and very, very cool. So if you get a chance, then yeah, play around with the KLM bot on Google Home. So the next thing I'm going to go through after we've gone through communication now is I want to go through some content. Now, content is fairly simple in terms of what AI can do for it. At the moment, curation involves crawling the internet and hunting down great content, and it can waste hours. And creation can again involve getting out content fast, so it needs to be up to date. This can also take a huge amount of time, and AI can help in both of these areas. It can help us curate content, and it can also help us create some of our content for us. In terms of curation, what tools are out there? Well, there's loads, but all of these ones listed here are in fact done by human communities. So you all work together to build up time. In terms of AI tools, obviously the famous one, Facebook, like your feed your Facebook feed that you see will be delivered through AI. Whether you like, it will feed you with certain content based on that, the content for you. In terms of ones that you can plug in and actually use on your website or to feed your, this is ByteDance is a great application that you can use. They actually in Europe are called News Republic, and what they do is they curate content based on any number of aspects that you want to see, as well as a user's score and items. So whether things are clicked, liked, disliked, commented, reposted, followed, etc., any of these things, and it works in real time. So if you as a company are wanting to stay on top of the latest news and you want to push this out to your blog and you don't necessarily know what to do on a day-to-day basis, then if you plug into a tool like this, you'll be able to actually curate content and push it out on a daily basis. So on to content creation. There are a number of tools out there. I'm sure you will know that a lot of news content is currently being produced by AI. I mean, that you read stories about them making mistakes, but there is a huge amount of breaking news stories now that are just produced solely from AI robots. In terms of tools that you could go away today and start using, Cortex is very good. It's a social AI app, and what it does is it has a lot of integrations with photo, video companies, and also it creates lots of different versions of text. And it controls scheduling and optimization, and also tracks your competitors while you're there as well. So essentially, the AI puts out loads and loads of this information in loads of different forms, and then learns as it goes along. And then learns as it goes along. So that's a great tool. If you wanted to get set up with some AI tomorrow, then Cortex would be great. And we just finished content creation, so I'm going to carry on to the next section, which is targeting. In terms of targeting, you have many options in terms of Facebook, you have many options on AdWords, you have the choice to use any number of SSPs or third parties. There's probably hundreds to thousands of available audiences, but there tends to be a lot of crossover, and in many cases, everyone has access to them. This leaves us with a few problems. Firstly, your audiences can lack granularity. It's difficult to stand out from the crowd when everyone's using the same audiences and the same general targeting options. You do not actually get to control the quality of these because they're controlled by another company. This leaves you a little bit at the mercy of them. This is before I start mentioning potential issues down the line and how that's going to affect our targeting. And as I'm sure everyone's aware, Cambridge Analytica did not in the recent scandal. So to help us improve the audiences we target and also improve how we target them whilst not impeding on people's personal identifiable information. When looking at this, there's a number of companies out there that actually claim or do use AI in order to build audiences. The best one, or my favorite one at least, is this OnePlus. They basically combine your audiences and the behavior of the audiences that you have based on your data to create new audiences with their deep learning tool. What they do is they give you custom audiences. They can build new audiences, so audience expansion with lookalikes. And what's really cool about this is the quality's up to you. I mean, if your data's good quality to start, then their tool can do a better job and you're going to end up with better audiences at the end. I think this is really exciting because this company could do well in a GDPR world. As targeting gets more tough and more stringent, their tool will still work at improving your current options and making them better. So I think this is definitely one that's going to work well into the future. I did warn you earlier, there's a brief stray off topic, but this is about China and sense time. This is not something we're necessarily going to be able to do in the United Kingdom, but it's something that's happening in China right now. Sense time are the company that provide all the surveillance for the Chinese police and law enforcement. And last week, no, 2 weeks ago, they went through a new funding round and received $600 million in funding. This places them at $4.5 billion market value, making them the most valued AI company anywhere in the world. What they do is they have facial recognition services which are used for surveillance. And technology is also resold to about 400 apps worldwide. So I'm sure you would have come across their technology at some point. Most interesting of all in terms of this company was that in their recent round of funding, the majority of the money came from Alibaba. Obviously, Alibaba's role, whilst the surveillance is probably of interest, is probably to do with e-commerce. Their role could be interesting going forward because the technology is always already hugely advanced, and they possibly be able to do things. So sorry, let me take a step back. Already the cameras are being used to spot jaywalkers and tell them who's jaywalked before the person's even crossed the road. That's how quick and advanced technology is. So Alibaba's purpose might be to use it for something like this, to spot someone as they cross the street with new shoes, with Levi jeans. Maybe they have a Ralph Lauren t-shirt, maybe they're walking fast, and maybe they have an old hat, and this can be plugged through the AI very, very fast. It might work out that the person's in a rush, they have money, they might need a new hat because they've got an old hat. So what it would do in the billboard down the street, and apologies for my terrible ad, I'm not a creative designer, they might put up this ad, which is Top Hats Premier Store, brand new designer hats. It's only 3 doors down, so get in and get out fast. So it can work out exactly what the person needs and serve them an ad of what right there on the street at that moment. which is definitely an exciting expansion of AI, probably one that we're not going to see in the rest of the world due to social implications, and actually also because the technology in this part of the world is not up to speed with China. So on to the last section, which is management. I think the key here is data and analytics. Most businesses, I think 75% of business leaders agree that analytics is a key growth area for their business, yet most of them do not have the analytic capabilities to actually drive them forward. The roadblock here is actually the right tool to process your data stockpile. So it's not how much you have, but what you do with it. So at the end of the day, if you get AI involved, data plus the correct type of analytics, yes, is going to lead your company to growth. However, actually finding those right tools and actually getting them incorporated into your business is actually very difficult. What I'm going to talk you through now is a number of ways that AI can help augment your management strategy of campaigns. What I'm not going to do in this case is give you lots of suggestions for tools that you can implement. I believe that this is definitely an area that agencies and the like should be looking to implement themselves, as this will be the agency of the future. So real-time decision management. Machine learning can help you understand microsegments, possibly even down to a single customer level. Learning models in the past have had to work off historical data, and they can often be slow and quite sluggish to react. Whereas when you've got real-time decision management in terms of AI, it can make decisions on the fly immediately. It can make decisions as products are launched and as new customers that you haven't seen before and you don't know the behavior of. It can make inferences on their behavior. The next point here is cross-selling and upselling. Advertisers and agencies alike will all know that this is vital to any business, is making sure that you can upsell and cross-sell properly. Problem with it being, there's a lot of patterns humans can't necessarily understand. There's huge amounts of data, but what you really need to do is have a machine learning tool to go through and find out these patterns that we don't actually see with the human eye. So further to this is you need to understand the voice of your customer, and there are actually a lot of social media analytics tools out there already that are using natural language processing to understand the semantics of what people's comments are online about products. And I guess one of the very important things here is you might release a product, it might be selling well, but this might be due to a big marketing campaign. So when you release the second batch of the product, it might do terribly. And what you haven't taken into account is that even though the first batch sold well, people were generally unimpressed with the product and they disliked it. So understanding the voice of the customer is going to be very important in understanding the longevity of a product, and also not wasting money in investing into a product that is genuinely not liked. So this is going to be very important going forward. Web analytics to digital intelligence. This is like, you've got to stop thinking about each channel separately. This is about amalgamating your channels and moving it from a siloed approach towards an all-encompassing approach. AI and machine learning as organizations to rapidly analyze and learn from high volumes of varied and detailed data. If they're coming from lots of different sources, it's very likely that they're unstructured or semi-structured. It's very difficult for traditional analytics and work with AI. We're going to be able to transform this area for us going forward. Finally, optimizations. Again, marketing now is run over lots of channels with a variety of constraints, and speed is vital. AI can help us process large data and make decisions faster than a human could ever do. Analytics and plugging it in to optimization engines, we can actually drive campaigns right there, right then, and change things before we've even spotted patterns. For instance, we might analyze a specific date, maybe Black Friday, 2 days afterwards, and not notice some of the changes, or we didn't notice some of the behavioral changes during the day, whereas machine learning will be able to pick these up on the fly and make adjustments accordingly. So, as I said, I have not necessarily given you recommendations here. This here is what agencies should be looking forward to driving within the next 10 years. All agencies will have these kind of AI technologies, I believe, running alongside their campaign managers to help drive effective campaigns as we go forward. So we've gone through 4 areas that definitely are going to be changed by AI over the next 10 years or so. So I want to give you some actions to take away today that you can go away immediately and do. So as a business leader, I've given you 4 actions. So this is for agencies and advertisers. And an individual, I've given you 2 actions. All 6 are just as important as each other. So as a business leader, you should consider how potentially valuable or viable the technology you're considering are. And this really goes back down to the Gartner hype curve. It's saying that, okay, if there's a lot of hype and a lot of technologies are going to fail, then make sure that the one that you're investing in does actually have value and isn't going to be this one that's lost out down the line. Second, consider the stage of maturity of a product. Is it worth it now? Is this something you should revisit in the future? This is a question that you need to constantly asking yourself when you're looking at tools and other applications of AI before you incorporate them into your business. Consider the ability of stakeholders to tolerate and manage the risk. So there's a lot of risk involved in this. There's a risk that the company itself's technology is not actually that good and it will go down. There's a risk that new legislation might come in and it might affect the ability of that technology to work. And there's also the risk of it not working for your company. All of this needs to be evaluated before you move ahead with a piece of technology. So this is definitely a very vital thing that you need to check before picking any tool that I've gone through today. Finally, for a business leader, you've got to consider consider how the people in your business are going to work with AI instead of being replaced by it. So this is just about how you're actually going to incorporate it into your business, how it's going to work alongside humans, and how it's not necessarily going to lead to people being left off or forced to leave. So as an individual, and these are just as important as well, you should be reading what the big AI players are doing and understanding and adapting accordingly. It's vital to keep up to date with what's happening in AI in terms of what Google are doing, because as a marketer, you're going to have to adapt to that. And it's also vital for you to keep up to date and understand how they're developing, so you can, again, either implement or adapt accordingly. There's 2 resources I've left here. These are actually places for you, instead of to get to grips with the tools and also the companies doing AI, this is for you to go away and actually get in the coding of AI. This is really, really cool. It's by no means really high level stuff. It's just a good way so you can actually understand some of the technology behind the tools that I've gone through. And again, I think this is very important if you're to work in an AI world in the future. So the takeaway, and this is encompassing everything I've gone through today, is that AI is going through a hype phase. So you need to evaluate the viability, the maturity, the risk, the integration process of any technology. This is going to require you to educate yourself so you can implement, outsource, and adapt where appropriate for each case of AI technology. This is dependent on the benefits of the technology.
Great, thank you so much, Fred. We've got time for a couple questions if anybody has anything they want to say or has any questions they want to ask. I do have one whilst we wait. So my question is, what excites you the most about the future of AI?
So I guess I've showed a number of tools today. The tools aren't necessarily what excites me. What excites me is that we in the future are possibly going to be able to understand patterns that otherwise we would not have been able to understand. Machine learning gives us the ability to go beyond the limits of what us as humans can see in terms of patterns and trends. And I cannot wait to see some of the secrets that this shows us in the future. We might not quite get the meaning of the life out of machine learning like they did in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but I definitely think that it's going to be exciting as we go forward to see the new patterns that come out of it.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm going to end it there as we're running a few minutes over. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We will be sending out the presentation as well as the video recording in case you want to relook at everything or check out those resources. All right, have a good day and enjoy your lunch. Bye.